Welcome to Cornerstone Worship Center, and once again, we're bringing you Walking with the Lord. And today, I'm excited. I truly am. First of all, I got two good friends that, boy, I think we've known each other for maybe 15, 16, 17 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when we first met, it was because of a crisis, but and there's been some problems. I mean, I've always been right.
That's your opinion.
But anyway, this couple, it's got such a sweet story, and we hope that we can at least draw it out. Richard Bailey, he is special to this church. He is a trustee, and he's also head of the men's organization, and he's doing a pretty good job. And let me just say that I'm proud of him, because I've gone through some of the suffering with him through the years. And he's married. I don't know how he got her. But are you Debbie?
Debbie usually.
Debbie, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Debbie, but I thought I better get that clarified. Debbie Bailey. And how long you two been married?
Too long. 33?
Yeah.
And you've got three boys?
Yep.
And what are their ages?
Ricky's 30. Nathan is
24.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Trevor 22.
Yeah.
And this may sound like a loaded question. How you two doing?
You were great.
Good. Yeah. I'm so happy that you two are here. I really am.
It's good to be here
Yeah.
together.
I think you might have to speak up just a little bit if you can.
Okay. It's good to be here together.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Glad to have you. We're going to try and make this a two-session thing, because we got so much that we can talk about. You know, there's people who like to teach that once you become a Christian, everything's going to be sugar sweet. But I really am a firm believer, once you become a Christian, you're going to meet some challenges that you never thought you would ever have to go through. And all of us that's here right now have gone through a lot of things. Richard, when I first met your wife, she came to the church here, and I don't remember exactly how we got into it, but we kind of hit it off, I think. And you told me you had a situation. I don't remember how long you were here when you talked about your father.
I can't remember how long it was when my dad was, when I was telling you about my dad being diagnosed with
Yes.
disease. Yeah, I can't remember how long it had been, but I do know that you guys were there for my dad. My dad loved seeing you guys
Oh, I
come
love
out
him.
there. I just wish you would have met him a lot sooner. You
I've
know,
said that many times. Yes.
you guys two in the church together, a service. Oh wow.
Oh. That just sent a chill up and down my spine. We're going to be discussing her situation more, but I want to say this. We got involved in going out to the house because he couldn't travel. He was hooked up to so many machines.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we went to the house, I was a little bit stunned by, he had about 80,000 hoses and electrical wire. I'm exaggerating. But it was really something that was there. And through that, I got to love the guy. The first thing I'd do when go in there, I'd kiss his forehead. One thing I loved about he was bald. There's something about bald men I think is just outstanding. Right, Richard?
Right.
I knew that you and I would agree, yes.
Mine was a couple weeks ago.
Tomorrow I get mine, not like that though, but I get my trim. And so through that, we got a relationship, but at that time, you were going through a crisis.
Yeah.
What kind of crisis were you going through? Which I didn't know about, by the way.
Alcoholism.
Yeah. What got you on that?
I mean, I started drinking at probably 13, 14 years old and never stopped. I mean, when I first started, it was just like a Friday night, Saturday night thing, and then it just progressed more and more.
It usually does. Do you know why you did it?
No,
You
it's
just,
just,
the
you
people
know.
you ran around with, or?
Yep.
Now, did you know this when you married him?
Yeah, he was drunk the day I met him. Unfortunately.
Well,
Yeah. But I was a preacher's daughter,
Yes.
and and I look back now and I know why my dad did it, and I'm grateful, but we couldn't date till we were 18. We couldn't have little, boyfriend, little grade school. We couldn't even, So I didn't want anybody that went to church,
okay,
you know,
rebellion.
Right, yeah. So, and, obviously, I see why my dad, did what he did, at the time. Or now, but yeah, I knew he drank.
Okay. Now, was your mother alive then when you two got married?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did she have a problem with it?
My real mom?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Okay.
no.
So that is it possible that added to your desire to drink to prove that you were right?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
See, his dad was an alcoholic. It ran in the family, alcoholism.
Yeah, well, it usually is.
Yeah.
Or in many of them, that's a problem, which kind of proves that the fact that children mock their parents.
Yep.
And see, I guess I was fortunate in that there was a lot of alcohol on the Wolf side of our family, and a little bit on the Robertson, which was my mother. But my dad did not drink. I think I saw him drink 2 drinks his whole life. And they was I think the weddings where they toasted.
Yeah.
And he took a drink then. And so I never had the desire for. Now, did I ever drink? Yes. Was I ever an alcoholic? No. Do I drink now? Water. Coffee.
Coffee, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta have that coffee.
Yeah, right. How'd you get off?
Well, I mean, the first time I quit drinking is when I started coming to church with Debbie here. I mean, I went when her dad was going to Greenville Church there. I went with them a few times, and I went to their church a few times. But when I went, I was usually hungover, But when I started coming here, and I just decided I was going to quit.
I remember that.
And I did. And it was, I don't know, 7, 8 years that I didn't drink. But I always had the urge to drink.
Oh, really?
Yep. But I didn't touch it, And then when I walked away from the church, probably 9 years ago, and I got in trouble, and it was because of alcohol. And then I gave it to God, and since then I've had one temptation to drink, and that's it. Out of,
Praise God.
7 years without alcohol. And
Yeah.
I know that time there, if I would have been near a party store, I know I would have drank. That's how strong it was. But I was out in the country. I had like 10 miles to a store, you know, and in AA, we always say the serenity prayer, and I just kept saying that over and over again. When I got to the stop sign where there's the store, just turn the corner, never give it a second thought.
Now, I think it was about the same time, no, it was before your father passed, that I prayed with you because you wanted to come back to the Lord. Rather, I don't remember you said you wanted to come back to the Lord or you wanted the Lord. Do you remember which one?
No, I don't remember.
I don't either. But it was right in that. And did you say, hey, look at me, I'm walking with the Lord now. Did that take place?
I don't remember.
I don't.
I know when we were having church over, or the church was going over there to my dad's. Remember, there was that time that you really got touched.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I give my heart to the Lord
Yeah.
Yeah,
while your dad was in bed.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when it took. There was one night we were there.
yeah.
And you said, I wanted to, and we prayed with you right then.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for remembering that.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That was in
I know I left the
2009.
place up here, you know, I was, yeah, and I was excited about that. But shortly after that, didn't you two have some problems?
Yeah, after my dad passed away. My dad passed away in 2009.
Okay,
So that would be around that time.
yeah,
And my dad was my everything, probably, I probably had him too high up as being perfect and someone to go to and, I was an adult, I should have, I can look, my dad was my rock. I went to him, he went to, I served the Lord and I prayed and everything, but I went to my dad with everything, So I was upset with God,
that happens. Yeah, that was, when my son died, I went through something. It wasn't that I was worshiping him, it was that, why'd you take him?
Mm-hmm.
And, but that got resolved rather quickly. God has a way of resolving things.
Yeah.
So now, that was a struggle between you two also, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the second time that today, what brought you back to the Lord? You get into drinking the second time.
Was when I got in trouble and I spent 70 some days in jail, and I got close to the Lord then. I didn't come back here right at first, but what was his name? The pastor from the Baptist church that left here 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, yes.
He come and visited me in jail. So I went to his church a couple times, but I just didn't care for that. And then I just kind of sat back, And at that, she had come back, so I come back one Sunday, and I've been back ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember her coming back with it. And I probably did something I shouldn't have when I saw you.
No, you're fine. I deserve it. My dad would have done a lot more than that, trust me.
Yeah, but I'm not your dad.
I know, but my dad thought a lot of you, and I think the way he looked at it was, like, I don't know, he was like passing me, onto you, the way, I don't know, like he wanted me to come here, he wanted Richard this was where he wanted us to be.
I tell you, and when we get to the session with you, your dad in impressed me greatly. And I've said many times, I would love to have been able to hear him preach.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely good.
Yeah,
Powerful.
yeah. And we got the, what was their name? The Hart brothers. And Hart was here several times, one of the brothers. But they would get up on the platform, there's 4 of them, and they would all preach. They would tag team.
Uh-huh.
And we had the opportunity to hear them once, but unfortunately it was another guy fouled it up, so they didn't get the proper time in order to get it done. Yeah. And probably not a good question to ask you, Richard, but if there is something in your life that you could change, what would it be?
As far as now, or?
Yeah. Or maybe when you was younger.
I mean, when I was younger, the fact that I liked alcohol, you know, liked it too much.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's part of life. Now, you do go to AA, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. My former wife, she had a brother that had to go to AA. That's just they had to go. Went to AA all the time. And he had no trouble giving up drinking when he finally found the Lord.
Yeah.
But the one thing he couldn't get rid of was cigarettes. And they say that's harder to get rid of than alcohol. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from, because he wasn't drinking, now he went to 3 packs a day.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he just let one habit lay on the ground and picked up another one with more enthusiasm. So, but I admit it's a challenge, and I'm glad that I never had to face that. If somebody out there was having a drinking problem, what would you advise them?
Well, for first thing is, you know, if they didn't believe in the Lord, they would, you know, to try and get into a church and, you know, so they could get right with the Lord. And, you know, another thing would be AA. You know, AA is, I mean, everybody in there is great people. You know, they're like family now.
Right.
And, you know, it's a great group. You know, that's what it's there for, is to help others. I mean, you can go into AA feeling down, you'll walk out of there with a smile on your face. You know, there's guys that's 30, 40 years, 50 years. Well, we're reading a book in there now once a month that it's, they all got 50 years plus sobriety. I mean, they're not, most of them aren't alive now, but they had that much time.
Yeah.
And people ask the older people. I mean, we had an old guy over there, somebody asked him, why do you go to AA? He says, because I need it. You know, he says, I get something out of every meeting.
Yeah, right. You usually get out of any meeting what you expect to get out of it.
Yeah.
They have good meetings too. Like because I go with them. I mean, last night they talked about, they went around the room, you know, talking about how much prayer you have in your life. You know, when they're talking to, you know, most people would say, I don't have enough prayer in my life, you know, and so there's talk about God and, you know.
Right. Yeah, I've sat in 2 or 3 meetings with that
Yeah.
relation to my wife.
You know, it says it's not a godly program. You know, you get out of it what you put into it, really. But God's mentioned in all the readings.
Yes.
90% of the meetings are held in the basement of a church.
That's true.
you know,
Never
and,
looked at it that way.
Yeah.
you know, it's, you know, I go over to Intrican every Tuesday, and sometimes I go down to Stanton to the one out here, the Catholic Church, Edmore there, you know, it's all churches.
You're right. Do you think that if you didn't have Christ in your life, that you would have kicked to heaven?
I don't think so. Not the second time. I mean, when I walked away from the church, within 2 weeks, I was back to where I left off. That's how fast
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I tried just 1 or 2 beer, but there's no such thing with me.
Yeah. And as you know, Larry,
Yeah,
we won't use last names, but Larry
yep,
also went through. Now, I don't believe he goes to AA meetings. Matter of fact, I know he doesn't now.
no,
Because they had no wheels.
yep.
Yeah. But I don't think he,
No, I don't think he has for quite a while. I know
yeah.
he had told me that he went. You know, and that's one thing, you know, is to me, being an alcoholic, at first I didn't want to tell anybody,
Yeah, I understand.
you know, and now it's a relief that if I'm talking to somebody, I can come out and say, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, you know, I go to AA, and, you know, it's pressure off from my chest, you know, I don't have to hide it,
You're right.
you know, what goes on at the meeting stays at the meeting, you know, we don't talk about anybody else outside of the
Right.
doors. But,
See, now you have the opportunity to reach other men or women
yeah,
who have been in the same place you were in and say there is an escape.
yeah,
There is another way. If you're in that position, let me advise you, this is what you can do.
yep,
But first of all, they have to convince they got a problem.
yeah, and most don't want to.
Right, right.
I mean, when I had to go to AA, I was having a hard time getting there. I was going to one down to the college at noon on Thursdays. And there was a guy that stepped up. His name's Chris. And he says, if you need a ride, you let me know. So I called him. Yep, I'll pick you up. Well, so every Thursday, he would pick me up. And he lived at Dickerson Lake. He'd drive the McBride, pick me up, take me to the meeting, take me back home. Thursday night, he'd be right there at 6 o'clock, pick me up for another meeting. And I mean, our meetings was actually 2-3 hours long, you know, because by the time he picked me up, we drove there,
Oh,
we
yeah.
had the meeting,
Right.
and then back home. I mean, a lot of times we just drove around, talked. I mean, he really got me interested in the program. And I tried to help other people out. I picked a guy up a few times, and then he wouldn't call, so I would call him. No, I'm not going to make it. And finally, after 4 or 5 times,
Right.
I give up, you know, because you can't force them to go,
Oh, no.
you know. And obviously, he didn't want to be there, but
This thought just hit me. It's probably a bad thought. I do have those several times a day. Have you ever thought about the possibility of doing something like that here?
yeah, I've thought about it. But I mean, there's so many meetings that, you know, every night of the week there's meetings.
Is there?
Yeah.
In this area?
Yeah, well, it's Edmore. I don't think there's anything in Vestaburg, but there's Alma, Ithaca, Crystal, all the areas around. That's, if you try and open another meeting, you're taking away from the other ones, and then their numbers drop.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a need for another one.
yeah, I guess there's, in a 10-mile radius, there's several meetings,
Okay. You know what that means? We got 4 minutes.
It means four.
And I want to thank you for being open with us. I think most people, at least if they're serving God, they know that they can take their experience and help somebody else that's going through it. And for example, if I ran to somebody who really had a drinking problem and they wasn't attached to an AA or something, I would call you.
yeah,
I
would talk to them.
Richard, I need a favor. Can you come over and talk to him, or take him to your house and let you speak to him? Because you have a great story. You really do. Anytime you can conquer something that's destroying you, and it was destroying you,
Yeah,
and it's God, the power of God in your life that assisted you to kick it. That's a story that's worth repeating.
yeah, and it's like I said, when I first quit the first time, I always had that urge. I mean, there wasn't, nothing stopping me. Well, basically now, there's nothing stopping me, Obviously, when I walked away, that was my first choice, I had two people on my shoulder and I listened to the wrong one.
Yes. And you still got him.
Yep, he's still there.
But wisdom, you kind of close that
Yep.
one ear because he usually sits on the same shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Many, many years ago, I smoked. And I probably quit 40 times. But like you said, the next day, the thought of the cigarette, you'd kill for it. But one day I got up and I said, Lord, I'm giving this to you. From this day forward, it's yours, it's not mine. And I had that one day, 8 days later, that I was looking for a cigarette. Fortunately, I couldn't find one. But that was the only day. The Lord took it all away. And when we give things to Him, life is so much easier.
makes a big difference.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to anyone who's watching who's got a drinking problem?
Well, the only thing I can say is give it to God and get into an AA program somewhere. You can get online and find out where the meetings are. And they even have the virtual meetings or whatever. I'd never done any of them, but I know there was several people that did it during COVID.
Oh, yes.
And a friend of mine, he opened his garage. We had a couple meetings there because the churches was closed, so we couldn't have our meetings. And that was, that was great because, there were so many people that was missing meetings.
Right.
And there's a saying in AA, meeting makers make it. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yes. Dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you miss a meeting, you can tell.
Right.
If I feel that if I need a meeting, I know where I can get to one. I have,
Yeah.
When I was getting off probation, I went 4 or 5 times a week. And my probation officer said, man, you're really going to the meetings. I said, I have to.
Amen.
because that's what was keeping me sober, because as soon as she signed me off, there was nobody telling me that I couldn't go right back out and do it again, and I didn't want to.
Praise the Lord.
You know, I made a promise to two people, the Lord and my mom, that I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, and she's no longer with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never say never,
Yeah.
because never, never happens.
Right. Well, we hope you were encouraged, and anyone who has the drinking problem, get tied in with a good church, but don't forget AA.
Yep.
They do a fantastic job, and that's because they use the Lord. So we thank you for watching, and we thank you for being open with us. And in the next session, it's your turn. Thank you for watching.